Hello everyone, and welcome back to Olive Oil Pens. Today I have something that I'm very excited about. Not that that's unusual, I'm usually excited to do these videos, but this is a pen that I've had my eyes on for quite a while. Never thought I would own one. Here I am owning one. It is the Montblanc Bohème, a tiny, very unique little Montblanc pen that is quite expensive, and I found one for a semi reasonable price, and I jumped on it, and now I can talk to you guys about it. And boy, do I have a lot to say. The Bohème was first released in 1999 with, a couple of different resin and jewel types. As of 2015, when it was discontinued, there were 56 different types of Bohème, ranging from just like a bunch of different colors of gem, a bunch of different colors of resin, and then just like metal overlays, solid gold, diamond encrusted. Some of them have a different nib style. There's truly a staggering amount of different finishes of this pen. As a result of both its just kind of unique design and the collectability of it, the Bohème has had kind of a cult following. Prices have gone up pretty significantly on the secondhand market since it was discontinued, especially in the kind of more limited edition ones, like the Paso Doble, which is, a grail pen for many. But I am perfectly happy with my Marron, which is so named for the beautifully cut smoky topaz in the clip, which was released around 2005, if my sources are correct. Based on a 2003 German catalog, these originally retailed for about 365 euros, which, frankly, is somewhat close to what I paid for it. So I don't feel too bad about it. Of course, that's because the resin and kind of lower trim, if you can call it that, it literally has a jewel in it. The lower trim versions are around in that ballpark range, but I've seen the like striped ones and the metal overlay ones go for around 1,000. So these are not cheap, but when is a Montblanc really going to be cheap? Yeah, this pen has a lot of really unique features, and some of which I find delightful and some of which I find less delightful. So we're going to get right into those now. All right, so we've got our little Montblanc Bohème here. First things first, it's already a pretty just strangely proportioned pen. The cap is very short. The body is, also short, but relatively long compared to the cap. Lots of gold trimmings here on the little blind cap, little trim around the end of the blind cap, end of the barrel. Got a nice thick cap band here. And then kind of the star of the show here is the clip, which has a smoky topaz set into it, which is pretty amazing. It's really nicely cut, really catches the light really well, and it's one of my favorite features of this pen. And then, of course, we've got the Montblanc snow cap at the very top. So when you uncap this pen, you will find nothing at all, until, of course, you twist on the blind cap to reveal the 144, 145 sized 14 karat gold two-tone nib. So that's kind of the main deal with this pen, is that it's a retractable kind of safety pen style situation. Unlike a safety pen though, I didn't spill ink all over the table when I opened it. That is mostly due to the fact that this is not a safety filler. This is a cartridge-only pen, not even converter. And the way you access that cartridge is by retracting the nib. And then at the back here is how you access the internals. You snap that little door open, and it just makes the most lovely noise, I think. So yeah, you snap that little door open, see the little Montblanc logo, it says do not remove, which is great advice. And you'll see you have a standard international cartridge butt sitting there. But of course you can't get to it, so you actually have to keep screwing, and then it will kind of stick itself out of the back of the pen. and you can grab it that way. So yeah, you can then just pull out your cartridge. This one is full, of course, but stick that in there, close it, ready to go. I'll get to it a little bit more later, but cleaning this pen as a result is very annoying. You can't just like take off the section and soak it. You actually have to clean it through the back of the pen, through the cartridge attachment point, which I do using these two guys, a Pelican long cartridge, I guess you could use any cartridge, and then a syringe full of water, where basically you prop the Bohème up, nib down, and then you put the empty cartridge in, and then you feed in some water, you let it drip out, and you do that again and again and again until the pen's clean. Most people who own these and use these frequently just kind of stick to one ink color because it's such a pain. But in my testing process, you know, I want to try a bunch of different inks, see how it writes with different inks. I got to try it with more than one ink. So I've settled on kind of a middle of the road in terms of ink flow ink, and I'm happy with it for now. But we'll talk more about that in the writing sample. One thing you can do as well to make the kind of deployment process of this pen a little bit faster is, you know, unscrew your cap and then post the cap on the back, and it, you know, both screws the cap on the back and retracts the nib, or yes, you get what I mean. Another thing I forgot to mention is actually what would happen if, for example, you tried to put the cap on while the nib is out. Well, you can see there's actually a little like hole and a flat spot in the feed, and that lines up with a almost impossible to see rod on the inside of the cap that makes it so that you can't actually bump the nib into the top of the cap. So this is stopped on that little stopping point. Won't go any further than that. I won't push it any further than that. And it's just enough so that you would have the reminder to be like, oh, damn, I should probably put my nib away. So let's get into that aforementioned writing sample. Today we have the Montblanc Bohème Marron. It's a weird M. And it is using a medium stub 14K nib. So this came to me as kind of a normal round medium. I used it for a little bit, got pretty bored, and decided to grind it. So now it's got some decent, just kind of inherent line variation. It sounds kind of scratchy because it's kind of a sharper grind intentionally, because this nib has a lot of ink flow. I found it to be really nice with a good Japanese ink. I'm currently using Pilot Iroshizuku Ajisai, which is the kind of hydrangea color. And I think it's lovely. So we're going to draw a little hydrangea with it. This pen is pretty comfortable to write with, though when it's posted it gets a little bit back heavy, and it's not too small really for being a pocket pen. It fits pretty comfortably in my hands unposted. You know, it's kind of like I would say almost like a medium vintage size. This probably belongs in the other part of the video, but comparison between a 146 and 142, and then the Bohème in the middle. So way shorter than both of these two. The 142 already being a pretty small pen, but once uncapped, they're actually pretty much the same size. Of course, the 142 is a piston filler and all that good stuff, but you know, it's a pretty efficient use of space with the retracting nib at all. The ink capacity is something I sort of worry about with this pen just because it's just small international cartridges. But, of course, the benefit of that is that it's small international cartridges, which can be purchased anywhere, more or less, in Europe at least. And as long as you stick to like a semi-available ink color, like blue, kind of dark black, or a red, you can just kind of pop it in there and not worry too much about ink mixing, which you would have to worry about if you were using, I don't know, some esoteric Japanese ink, like I find myself doing at this very moment. Overall, though, this is not like a spectacular writer by any means. It's just like good enough to hang with the rest of the pen. I think this pen is meant to be played with a little bit more than actually used, but you could absolutely get by with this on a day-to-day. And, you know, part of that is like maybe my nib grinding skills aren't perfect, but that can be fixed. So let's unpack my true opinions on this little piece of Montblanc history. Alrighty, you have seen what it do, you have seen how it write, you have seen what it looked like. What do I think about it? What do you think about it? What do I think about it, though? More importantly, it took me a minute to come around to this pen. I got it right before I left for vacation, came back to it, and then had more thoughts. I missed it a little bit. First things first, as I likely mentioned in the writing sample, the nib came to me, it's just kind of a round Montblanc medium. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that's kind of my least favorite kind of nib. They're quite boring. So after writing with that for a little bit, I decided to grind it, which, you know, may be stupid. It actually didn't write the way I wanted to for a couple days, and I was like, oh God, what have I done? But I made it write the way I wanted to, and now I love it. It is a fun little pen. It is much more practical to take around as, you know, kind of a more like fine medium stub size. It's got really nice flow. And then there's the looks of it. I find it a really uniquely, charmingly shaped pen. I can't get enough of the little mechanism and the overall design. I will say, having to post the cap with a screw and do that every time I want to write with it is a little bit annoying. But it's like kind of a double-edged sword because it is kind of a very joyous process to do that. It you know, really, I don't know, helps you, gives you a second to be like, okay, I'm gonna write something down right now. But you know, on the flip side, it takes longer than, I mean, there's no real reason for this to be a capless pen. Let's be honest with ourselves here. It has a cap. It could just as easily be, you know, a fixed nib version. And there is a fixed nib version. That is a cartridge converter filler. But I don't want that one because it's not the cool one. So you see, it's kind of silly for me to complain about it because the things that I'm complaining about are inherent to why I want it. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy there, and I will admit that. But I stand by it. I stand by my hypocrisy. This is the hill I will die on. Is that this is a silly pen, and that is why I like it. That all being said, I hate cleaning this pen. This pen takes so long, and there's like risks to cleaning it the way that kind of the only way you can. Because if you get water in between kind of the resin and the twisty mechanism, there's a chance that it could rust and just kind of fully kill your pen. There's documented accounts of it happening on Fountain Pen Network. You know, if for some reason you got a bunch of ink in here and let it dry, mechanism dead, you're dead, die. It's just that with a pen kind of as fiddly as this, and Montblanc being the brand that it is, meaning that like their service costs a lot, and you can't really, I mean, I guess somebody out there could probably fix this independent of Montblanc, but like, I don't know if I would want that. And then it's probably going to cost like, I don't know, $150 to get this fixed if you wanted to fix it. It's just, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence as like a daily driver type of pen, which is a shame because it's a pocket pen. It's meant to be carried around and used all the time. So I'm just kind of struggling with how I'm going to use this pen because until I find an ink that I really, really think fits in this pen, which I have not yet, I'm going to keep swapping inks and it's going to keep taking me half an hour to clean it just by itself because it's kind of like an active process. And I'm hoping that it doesn't like turn me off to the pen because I think it's really, really cool. I think it's super unique. And I'm really, really happy that I have it after wanting one for so very long. So no, I don't regret getting it, but it's not all sunshine and roses over here. One of the benefits too, I guess, to having it not be a truly capless pen is that it is a lot easier to engineer a cap than it is to make a capless closure mechanism. So this you kind of lose some of the benefits of it being capless, but you gain the benefits of it being capped while still getting the joy of this fun mechanism. The dialogue CC and the vanishing point, for example, I can leave inked and closed for like a couple of days before they start to hard start. This has a much better seal. I opened it after a week on vacation and there was no problem whatsoever. And that, of course, is going to depend on your ink choices and stuff, but you do get some benefits to this design besides the fact that it just like is fun and cool. I'm kind of bummed that they discontinued this. That being said, Montblanc does release kind of a lot of new models, more so than a lot of modern pen makers, just because I feel like they probably have a lot more money to throw at it. For example, they just released their new little baby Rouge et Noir, which is the cutest thing in the world. If anyone wants to send me one of those. Anyway, I like this pen. I think it's probably a little bit overpriced, but it's a Montblanc, so that's what you're paying for. And there are more overpriced pens in the world. For example, my next review. This crazy, crazy, crazy guy. But that's for another time. For now, I will thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. And got any feedback? Got any questions? Get any comments? Well, you should put them in the comments section because that's where they belong. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. Leave a like if you liked it, and don't if you didn't. You could dislike it because apparently that helps the algorithm for some reason. So, it's all the same to me. You can't stop me. Anyway, thank you all so much again for watching, and I will see you next time with the ASC Pavarotti 3, which will be a fun review.